people who built the Great Pyramid must have had at least the same technology that we had in 1964 to measure it. You know, just my common sense says to me, if we couldn't measure the damn thing until 1964 because we didn't have a laser transit, then the people that built it had to have at least had the technology of a laser transit to build it. Because up until 1964, boys and girls, we couldn't duplicate it without the laser transit. So whether the guys who built the thing, and I was told this one time, I said, well, how did they level it up? Now the thing sits plumb. It's level. But then when this thing sits on 14 acres and it's plus or minus plumb, and then it's plus or minus a half inch on four corners, sitting on 14 acres, which is bigger than the Empire State Building, which is bigger than the Twin Towers, which is more accurate than either. You know, you got to sit there and say, hey, wait a minute. These guys were not savages dragging their knuckles on the back of the ground. These were not Cro-Magnons. There are recently discovered artifacts that cannot be dismissed, namely objects of metal sitting in museums today that are unquestionably made in the ancient world that would have required very advanced technology to produce, a technology not to be repeated until our day today. The weight of evidence grows daily, evidence that all of the major secrets of modern technology were known and then forgotten long ago. Now, I know, you go to the movies and you look at the movie, Noah's Ark, or you look at the movies that are produced by Cecil B. DeMille, in Egyptian times, and we say, hey, these people are barbarians. They're ancient. They don't have technology. They're building pyramids that we can't duplicate today. They're building buildings and monuments that we don't have a technology to do. But they're dragging their knuckles on the ground and hitting their women over the head and dragging them off. That's preposterous poppycock. It's insane. Doesn't add up with the physical evidence. Before the flood, flying in jet airplanes, they had medicine equal to today, art, clothing, and mechanical devices that have been dug up, but they don't fit the theory of evolution. See, evolution is a fairy tale for adults that tells us once upon a time, long, long ago and far, far away. And then they proceed to tell us the story about how billions and billions of years ago thus and such occurred. Pure fantasy. There isn't a shred of evidence, not a shred of proof. No scientific tests can be duplicated. If we're going to arrive at the truth, we got to actually come to grips with 14-foot skeletons and buildings that are so big and so massive that we can't duplicate them today, and ask the question, well, how did those people build that? Who was here to do that? We look at Stonehenge, in amazement to this day, and say, how in the world did those people get 30-ton blocks of rock sitting up there on top of it? When you see something like a 200,000-ton block of rock that is set in position, somebody had the technology to make it, pick it up, move it, and set it into place. We can't do that today, and since we can't explain that, and our fairy tale dream world says that we're evolving better and better, smarter and smarter, it doesn't fit with the evolution fairy tale. So then we ignore it. We hide it. We pretend it doesn't exist. As I said, that's not science, and it's not academic. It's just propaganda. Did Moses have a microscope? Microscope on a sexy spider. You probably get a lot of information, Nazca. Anyway, for those of you that are uninitiated, down here in Peru, up around 15,000 feet, there's a flat plateau. And on this plateau is a spider. This spider is 6 miles across. It's built about 18 inches high out of just little rocks. Somebody went out here, and they just picked up little rocks, and they built a stone wall 18 inches high. And they built it in the outline of a spider. And the thing is 6 miles across. 6 miles. And it's in perfect size. I mean, the legs are the perfect size with the head, and the head's perfect sized with the body. And it's got all 8 legs, and they all stick out in one thing. There's monkeys and other animals, and there's people, and they're 6-8 miles across. When you're on the ground and you're walking along, what you see is a stone wall. And so you walk along and you say, gee, here's a little stone wall, 18 inches. It won't keep a sheep in. It won't keep a llama in. It won't keep a cow in. And it's about 18 inches high, and it's uniform in height, and it goes out there for a long, long ways. I mean, you can look down this wall, and it curves, but you can't see what it is. You could not tell that was a spider by looking at this walking on the ground. But in 1939, some guy's flying over it with an airplane taking pictures, and he says, oh, my God, there's a great big spider down there, and it's 6 miles across. Well, then they went down there and they started measuring this thing. Who built that? You couldn't even know it was there unless you were in an airplane flying over it. You got to be up in the air over the top of it to see what the hell it is. That's how big it is. The people that are going to look at it are going to look at it from an airplane or from up in the air. Could be a gas balloon. But then if that's the case, then gas balloons were invented before 1700. First one I heard of was a hot air balloon flown in France about, 1705 or something like that. But it gets better than that. One of the drawings depicts a spider. It has one leg deliberately lengthened and extended, and at the tip of the leg there is a small cleared area. Now there's only one spider known who uses the tip of its third leg in this precise manner shown in the drawing in this 6-mile-long rock wall spider. It's called the Riccinulei. It's spelled Riccinulei. This spider is recognized by scientists for its unique method of copulation, for which it uses that extended leg in the described manner that's in this spider at Nazca Plateau in Peru. It is an extremely rare species of spider. Now, for the incredible part. This spider's mode of reproduction can be only observed by the aid of a microscope. Up here on top of this plateau is this huge spider, 6 miles across. You can't even see that this is a spider unless you're up in an airplane at least 1,000 feet in the air. This spider is in perfect proportion. It's built out of rock. It's not big rocks now, just little ordinary rocks. You can just pick them up and stack them in a rock wall. The third leg is extended in a way that only this rare spider extends its leg. This leg is used in copulation, in reproduction. And the only way that you can see the way this spider reproduces with this leg is with a microscope. So the question is, how were these artists able to find and then observe their tiny model unless we can see that they inherited a knowledge of science equaling our own? If we were to credit the collective testimony of all ancient races, man's early history was truly an incredible history. It was a golden age of advanced civilization, of original giants who had superior intelligence and technology. This appears to have been a universal truth known to everyone in ancient times. Sacred records affirm that at the very beginning, soon after the fall from paradise, men possessed extraordinary mental abilities. Beginning with the raw earth, they mastered a high level of civilization and technology in just the first 6 generations of their existence. In that short time, they were able to build cities, play complex musical instruments, and smelt metals. Indeed, with their scientific complexities, these earliest men, it seems, were no fools. We might well wonder to what degree they further developed and refined this technology. Now, more than any document, the Bible has been assailed as a collection of fanciful myths. And yet, to the embarrassment of its critics, archaeological discoveries have proved time and time again that the fabled cities, mythical persons, and impossible events were not only true, but they were in fact reliable historical reporting in every detail. And indeed, the Bible can now be regarded as the most accurate and the most trustworthy source of history that we possess.